Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to get singles for all your Force of Will and other trading card games, as well as these amazing patrons.
Thank you for your support. Enjoy the video.
Hey there, Rulers. DMO73 here, bringing you another double-decker deck profile to hopefully catch us up. Today we are showing off two lists by the one, the only Paul Clute, who you have seen on the channel a multitude of times. First off, we are playing the Heroic Epic Isis list, aka danged if you do and danged if you don't in terms of moons. So first off, obviously our ruler is Isis. We're doing this primarily to turn on the Isis Resonator, and then our two kind of win cons are pushing through for explosive damage using Heroic Epic and Ushua, or just pushing through for lethal with the new Nyarlathotep. So quickly to go into the stones, we're playing 4 Dragon Ores because strength counters can matter when we're using Piggy, as well as it being technically a Firestone, so we can tap for white. 2 Magic Stones of Dueling to round out the package, and then 4 Null Magic Stones so that they have access to Darkness Will to be able to play that Heroic Epic. In the Rune deck, we're playing a Poison Stinger because it combos really, really well with Spiral of Chaos, which we're playing instead of the Whirlwind Conflagration because we want it for an early game burst of damage as opposed to Whirlwind Conflagration serving as a closer. Godly Aura being used as a way to generate some additional moons very, very quickly. Contract Forge in Sand as a way to burst through for some lethal damage with a Swiftness Resonator, especially if you have flying with Piggy. And then lastly, Sandstorm, because we need a 1-cost rune, and why not? So you could play, obviously if you chose to, you could play something like Power of Immortality here, but ultimately we're choosing to play Sandstorm instead. Quickly to go through the main deck, we're playing 4 Desert Miner because he's our commandment that also turns into moons, which is great. 2 Burial Rites in the main because you need to be playing some form of Graveyard Hate in this meta. The 3 other copies of Godly Aura because these are essentially a cycler that also turns into a moon. Shu, Ruler of Air, because the ramp is absolutely excellent and can turn dead cards into live cards in terms of forms of damage. 4 Piggy, Howell's Great Hero Pig as a burst damage option. Also a really great option to grab off of the new Isis if you have all of your Nyarlathotep set already, because you can get that flying and swiftness to any of your guys and just push through for lethal. 4 Heroic Epic, as we said, to combo really, really well with Ushua. Ushua gives all of our buys swiftness, and then we get that trigger of looking at the top 5, putting a Resonator into play, and going from there, which is really awesome if you hit an Isis. The value there is pretty crazy, because you can go Ushua into Isis, Isis trigger, go get Nyarlathotep, put it into your hands, generate a moon, and then maybe even play that Nyarlathotep that same turn, and you're just pushing through for, you know, so much damage. That's 35 damage just right there from those 3 cards, potentially at 3 will. And if you've already done the Poison Stinger combo, your opponent is probably dead at that point. 4 Nyarlathotep, because for playing a Nyarlathotep deck, there's no reason to not play 4. This card makes crazy good use of the moons, where Isis generates them to help us ramp. Nyarlathotep can double them and then use them as spot removal and combat tricks to push through for lethal. And then 4 copies of Surtur because he is an absolute beast, has natural swiftness by himself if we get to that many will, which is very easy to do with Isis, but also generates those extra moons and burn damage both on enter and on discard, which is awesome. And then just for some extra protection, we're playing 3 copies of Mind Like Still Water in the main to be able to protect Isis primarily. Now, the sideboard does have a lot more white cards in it, which is one of the reasons why we're playing Desert Miner, but again, at this point in time, that sideboard was tweaked for our current meta, so those are things to just kind of keep in mind. Do want to know, though, that Paul took a version of this list to a top 8 finish at the Force of Will Festival, so there is definitely some potential here. Isis has a lot of tricks up her sleeve, and if you're not paying attention, you can just get blown out. So with that, let's jump over to the other lists here. So this is the Graveyard Aggro. We're playing it with Adam Psychheart because we want to have access to Alice Zeus and Dark Alice very easily. This list was originally designed by Rogues Guild, so credit for them to that, and piloted by Toby Gaffney to a to relative success at the Force of Will Festival. I believe he top 16'd. It was a very explosive, interesting way to bring out Dark Alice without having to worry about the green package, the Alice without having to worry about green. So, yeah, and then Paul made his own tweaks to it. So obviously we're playing Adam Psychheart. Our stones are 4 Stone from the Dark Castle, because it's treated as a Darkness Magic Stone, 3 Darkness Magic Stones, 4 Null Magic Stones, and a single copy of a Light Magic Stone. We're only playing 3 Darkest Magic Stones because we're only playing 2 Layla. We don't need more than that, really, so we're not really concerned about too much ramp. And we're also not playing, as you can see, we're not playing any altars, so we didn't want to go too heavy into basic Blackstones to flood up the graveyard in that sense. Rune-wise, we're playing a Harvesting Season, an Invitation to Purgatory, because it sets up some really awesome combos with Command of Life and Death, Sand Awakening, Einherjar Summon as a way to reanimate a 2-drop, because again, we're that kind of traditional Harvesting Adam kind of aggro package, but now it actually has a reason to play Adam. And then a single copy of Freed from the Altar, which is really helpful for searching out some finishers like Asthma. And then to quickly move into the main deck, we're playing 2 Valkyries Chosen and 2 Adam in the Fairy Tale Land. It's very easy to get these cards to the graveyard, what with Invitation to Purgatory or with Harvesting Season, so we're not playing too many copies of them. This is also just a dead card in late game, so we want to play minimal copies. 2 Astema, the Returning of Hatred as a finisher, as also a super solid reanimate target with Command of Life and Death, keeps the draw power up, keeps the life gain going, and if your opponent's at 1,000 or less life, it's just lethal if you cast it. 2 Layla, the Maiden of the Swamp, as we said before. 4 Alice as our kind of primary beat stick. 4 Fallen Angel of Fiery Vengeance, because it helps us get into red really easily and is also this convenient spot removal. 4 Joan d'Arc Maiden, because we're an aggro deck and we're playing black and we have reanimates, so there's really no reason to not play Joan d'Arc. This card is super solid. It's going to be real sad when she rotates out. 4 copies of Majin Dark Elf, again, same kind of starter aggro package. 4 Dark Alice, the Rabbit Princess, because we want to be able to have that 5-color stuff, and Dark Alice is another way to help the deck have draw power and get us to that 5-color combination. 4 Command of Life and Death, and 3 Majin Subjugation, which is really cute, because you can sacrifice any Resonator, essentially, in this deck, and go fetch a Alice from your deck, because she's all races, including a Wicked Spirit, so that's pretty awesome. Yeah, it's crazy. And then 4 March of the Dead for a nice, awesome reanimate package. We've seen this time and time again with being able to bring back like Double Gene or anything else. And then lastly, a Satan God of the Fallen, just as a single copy to be able to pull, not all the time, but sometimes using Invitation to Purgatory based on the matchup. Like if it's going to go long, or if you feel like it's starting to go long, or that you're going to be in for a grind, Satan God of the Fallen, it's a pretty good grab because he just passively generates these counters and then later can kind of reanimate a whole bunch of stuff while also clearing your opponent's board, potentially to the point of having so much swiftness on board that your opponent just can't come back from it. But those are the decks. Let me know what you guys think. Again, apologize for the delays in getting this list to you. I hope you enjoy it. We'll be working on getting these deck lists up way more consistently moving forward now that we're kind of moving towards Worlds and everything else. Obviously, you know, we're doing our best there and we're looking forward to all the new cards, but let me know what you guys think in this list, or if you think this list is going to evolve or even be possible after rotation. Love to hear what your thoughts are about that. But until next time, this has been DMO73 saying class dismiss.